Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. Welcome to the Emirates Stadium where it's finished here. Arsenal 1, Shakhtar Donetsk 0 in the Champions League. Not the prettiest football match you'll ever see. I think that is probably an understatement of what we're seeing here tonight. Arsenal getting the job done, getting the win that they needed. So that's 7 points from a possible 9 in the Champions League so far. The 2 wins at home adding to the draw, of course, over in Italy when they played Atalanta. But I think most of the 60,000 fans who are in the stadium here tonight have gone home a little bit underwhelmed from what they have seen from their side. Definitely deserving winners, no doubt about that. They were a better team, they were a dominant team, but it was lacking any real spark or imagination or creativity or fun, and that just kind of sums up where Arsenal are, I think, right now, which I suppose is understandable given some of the players that are missing at the moment, but still you would expect maybe a little bit more from the players that we've got on the pitch at the moment. It took an own goal to decide things today. A little bit unlucky on Gabriel Martinelli, who did very, very well down the left-hand side, cut inside and had a shot that hit the post, came back and hit the Shakhtar keeper and went in. That was on 29 minutes. So that broke the deadlock. It was a deserving lead for Arsenal at that point. They were definitely the better side, and he thought they would go on and comfortably win the game. Such was their dominance, but it just didn't happen. They had the chances too. Calafiori missed a really good chance in the first half. Gabriel Jesus missed a really good chance in the second, just before half time. Sorry, nice little bit of play from Arsenal involving Leandro Trossard, Kai Havertz. It was Jesus' shot straight at the goalkeeper. Could well have, I mean, he should have scored, no doubt about it. He should have, and you could see the look on his face in the last couple of minutes before the half-time whistle went. It was kind of weighing on his shoulders a little bit. You could see he was really disappointed with the miss. So it was 1-0 at half-time. They started well in the second half, came out. Trossard had a header flashed wide. Trossard had another shot that was past the near post. I think Martinelli had an effort as well. You felt like the second goal was coming, but it never did. And obviously when that happens in these sort of games against any sort of team, you're going to find yourself having a nervy finish. Then Arsenal got a penalty, 10 minutes to go, 10 or 15 minutes to go, and Trossard's, I was surprised Trossard took it, to be honest. I was really surprised Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz was on for a record of, well, not the record, but if he'd have scored tonight, that would have been 8 home consecutive goals in a row. First time an Arsenal player would have done that since Thierry Henry did it in 2000. But Leandro Trossard took the penalty. I was really surprised at that. And it was a weak penalty from Trossard, straight down the middle. The keeper saved it with his legs. And it just kind of summed up Arsenal's night in front of goal. They just weren't clinical enough, just weren't switched on enough. And when that happens and you've only got a 1-goal lead to protect and you miss all those chances, then you're always going to have to endure a nervy finish. And Arsenal did that. And in the end, David Raya, who didn't have a save to make really all night, had to make a very, very important one in injury time to keep out Pedrino, who's a substitute, came on. He had a long-range effort that Raya flung himself across and saved to his left. It was a save you would expect him to make. But, you know, anything like that could happen. And suddenly it's 1-1 and you're left counting the cost of so many missed chances. And, yeah, that was a tale of night, but also the tale of night was injury concerns. And we've had a lot of them this season when it comes to Arsenal, and they've got more of them tonight. First, Ben White went off at half-time. We don't know exactly why that is yet. I haven't been down for the press conference. We might hear a little bit more from Mikel Arteta in the press conference to explain that substitution. But he went off. He was on a yellow card. But he didn't look right the whole of that first half. And he was on a yellow card. The referee had a word with him. So I don't know if that substitution was down to injury concerns or down to the fact that he was on a yellow card and Mikel didn't want to get him sent off. So we'll find out more from the press conference. By the time you're watching this video or listening to this on a podcast, we'll probably know the answer from Mikel Arteta. But more worryingly than that, in the second half, Ricardo Calafiori went down. Looked a bad one. Obviously, it's very, very early. We'll have to wait and see. But you could see he was not happy. Straight away, he signalled to the bench. He kind of slipped. His knee buckled under him. We know he's had knee issues in the past, Calafiori, way before he came to Arsenal. But he didn't look right. The trainer came on. Calafiori wanted to try and continue. So he had a bit of treatment, went off, came back on. But as soon as he came on, as soon as he tried to put any weight on it, you saw he signalled to Mikel Arteta, did the old substitution, went down on the pitch again and was replaced by Miles Lewis-Skelly. So that's a big concern, no doubt about it. I mean, this Arsenal squad, which you have to put into context the sort of struggles they've got going forward at the moment. They're missing some really big players, important players for them who score the big goals, who create the big goals. It's an injury. It's an already creaking squad, put it that way. because of injury issues. And to add potentially Ben White and definitely Ricardo Calafiori to that ahead of the Liverpool game this weekend, it is a real worry for Arsenal. It has to be said. And Calafiori, especially when you think you're going to be going up against Mo Salah, whoever plays left back for Arsenal at the weekend is going to be going up against Mo Salah. That is a concern, because Lewis Skelly ended the game on the pitch today. He's a very talented young player, Miles Lewis Skelly. Do you want to play him against Mohamed Salah on Sunday in a almost a must-win game for Arsenal? Wouldn't be the ideal scenario. There is Zinchenko as well, of course, but he didn't come on, which I think says a lot about his fitness at the moment. So, yeah, that's sort of the narrative from the night. Arsenal win. They continue their decent start points-wise to the Champions League campaign. I think they're up into the top 8 now in the Champions League table. But more missed chances, more injury issues, and that is a real worry for Arsenal and for Mikel Arteta, with Liverpool looming large this weekend. Right, we'll go through some player ratings now. There was 2 changes Mikel Arteta made from the defeat at Bournemouth at the weekend. Gabriel Jesus came in and Gabriel Martinelli came into the starting 11. Again, no Ethan Nwaneri, didn't even come on in the second half. Ben White went off at half-time. Mikel chose to bring on Mikel Merino. Felt, again, the way the game was shaping up, the sort of dominance Arsenal were enjoying. Maybe that was a conservative move. Why couldn't you put Ethan Nwaneri into this? I'm just not... I don't really get it, I have to say. But that was what he made in terms of starting 11. It was 2 changes from the team against Bournemouth. So David Raya was in goal. As I said, he had very little to do throughout the entire game. But he had to stay alert, which top goalkeepers have to do. And he had to make the big save when he needed to. And that was in injury time from Pedrino's shot. It was a save he should have made. You expect him to make. But he had to be alert, and he was alert. And in the big moment when he was called upon, he made the save. So I give David Raya 7 out of 10. Ben White, as I said, he was replaced at half-time by Mikel Merino. Just didn't quite look 100% fit the whole way through that first half. He was struggling a little bit, got caught on his heels a little bit, and that led to a booking. Referee had a couple of words with him as well. So whether that's why Mikel took him off, we'll have to wait and see. Gave him 5 out of 10. William Saliba, I gave 7 out of 10. A fairly comfortable night work for him after his red card. He was never really put under too much pressure until that sort of last nervy 10 or 15 minutes. Gave him 7. Gabriel gave a 7 as well. He defended on the front foot, as he always does. Made a couple of really important blocks, actually. One in the first half, one in the second half. The one in the second half was after Leandro Trossard, for the second game run-in, played a really strange-looking back pass, this time a lot closer towards his own goal, that put Arsenal in trouble. But Gabriel was there to make the block, so that was really important. Calafiori, I gave 7 out of 10. He played well before the injury, I thought. Missed a really good chance early in the first half. Should have scored, no doubt about it. Put over from close range left foot when I think Trossard's corner fell to him. Got forward well. He linked up at time well with Gabriel Martinelli, and it was a worry to see that knee injury. When you watch it in slow motion, you see how he goes down and the way his knee went. It's tough to not look at that and be a little bit worried about it. But again, it's very early. We'll have to wait and see what Arsenal say and what the medical staff say. But I gave him 7 out of 10. Thomas Partey, I thought, was very good. He was a dominant player on the pitch in the first half, with the ball and without the ball. He was Arsenal's best player in that 45 minutes. I thought moved to right back in the second half, so his sort of influence on the game waned a little bit, as you would expect. But I thought he played very well, Thomas Partey. I gave him my man of the match, actually. I gave him 8 out of 10. Declan Rice, I gave 7 out of 10. He looked to drive forward when he could, had a couple of nice little sort of cross-field passes. Gave him 7. Gabriel Martinelli, I gave 7. I could have given... Maybe I should give Gabriel... No, I'm going to give Gabriel Martinelli an 8. I thought he was Arsenal's best attacker, no doubt about it. He was unlucky that the goal won't be credited to him, because he did everything right, almost, apart from his shot hit the post rather than going into the bottom corner. He was always Arsenal's most dangerous player. He had a couple of other efforts that were saved, a couple of decent balls into the box as well. On a night that Arsenal were pretty dreary and disappointing in attack, he was definitely the standout player. So I'll put him level with Thomas Partey as an 8 out of 10. Gabriel Jesus should have scored, like I said, had a really big chance just before half-time, which he didn't take. I thought up to that point he'd actually played pretty well, Jesus, over on the right-hand side. Was always involved. His touch was good. I thought at times maybe could have played an overlap ball to Ben White a couple of occasions when he chose not to. But on the whole, I thought he actually had a decent first half, and that miss just weighed on his shoulders. You could see tired in the second half, I thought. But he was always putting himself about. I didn't think it was a terrible performance from Gabriel Jesus by any means, but it was just a classic Jesus performance at the moment. When the big chance came to score, he couldn't take it, and that's disappointing. I gave him a 6. Trossard, I gave a 6. Buzzed around all night. I thought he led the press well in the first half when Arsenal really did buzz around the goalkeeper and looked to put him under pressure. Glanced ahead of wide, had a couple of nice touches, linked up well with one with the chance that led to Jesus' chance just before half-time. Again, poor penalty though, just straight down the middle. Got to be a bit more clinical than that. You've got to put your foot through it a little bit more, show a little bit more conviction if you're going to take that penalty, because it was such an important part in the game. So I gave him 6 out of 10. Havertz 6 out of 10 as well. Unable to make it 8 goals in a row at the Emirates again. I was surprised he didn't take that penalty. Really surprised. He's such a good penalty taker. Takes them for Germany, obviously, but for some reason it was Trossard who was on the penalty. Worked hard, but didn't really get a chance all night, unfortunately for him. So no record for him. I gave him 6 out of 10. In terms of the subs who came on, Sterling came on, couldn't get into the game. Very little impact. Gave him about 5 out of 10. Marino came on, made a few important blocks defensively. Didn't really offer anything going forward. Gave him a 6. Lewis Skelly and Jorginho didn't score. They came on sort of later towards the game. And in terms of Mikel Arteta, I gave him 6 out of 10. Look, it's a win. I thought the starting 11 was okay. Made the changes. But I just don't know why he's not giving Ethan a chance. He's talking right now, actually. I'm looking on the screen. He's doing his press conference right now, so I can't hear what he's saying. But I just felt when I watched that game, the way it was unfolding, it just needed a little bit more in central areas to really try and open up Shakhtar. And I'm not sure the substitution of Marino was the right one. Again, maybe he's trying to get him up to speed and all that and get minutes into his legs. But I feel like he's wasting an opportunity here to give Ethan Nwaneri a chance. And I know it's easy for us all to say it. And I know the clamour is for Nwaneri to start. I see it on social media. I agree with it myself. And it's easy for us to say that. He's the guy in charge. He's the guy who sees everyone in training all the time. But it did feel like this was another opportunity that has passed by to give Ethan Nwaneri some minutes to really influence the game and maybe change the way Arsenal are playing at the moment and inject a little bit of life and creativity into a team that clearly at the moment looks like it needs it. But again, that's for us to say. I'm sure we'll all be debating that. I'm sure a lot of the comments to this video will be about that as well. So it's finished here, Arsenal 1 at Shakhtar 0. Thank you very much for watching and listening. As always, I'll be back in the morning to do this all over again. Much more in-depth reaction show, going over what Mikel Arteta has had to say, seeing if we've got any updates on the injury concerns we've seen tonight. You want to get involved in that show, you know what to do. Get down into the comments and leave your comment, your opinion, your reaction. I'll pull some of them together and get them included in the show. Until then, have a great evening, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.